Most men think rejection is personal, and that's why it destroys them. A woman says no, and she doesn't reply, and she leaves, she chooses somebody else, and suddenly a man's entire identity falls apart. But why? Because he wasn't rejected. He judged himself. There's a massive difference. Let me ask you something. Have you ever met someone and within 30 seconds you knew they weren't your type? Of course you have. And did that make them a bad person? No. It simply meant they weren't for you. So why do you believe that when a woman rejects you, it suddenly means you're not good? That's your ego talking, not reality. Most men give strangers too much power. Think about it. A woman you've known for 3 hours can ruin your entire week? How? Because you allowed someone who barely knows you, and that you barely know, to define your value. And that's insane. Here's the truth. Rejection is information, not condemnation. It tells you one thing: there wasn't enough compatibility, or enough attraction, or maybe the timing wasn't right. That's all. Everything else is a story you're telling yourself in your mind. Now, here's where men lose. Instead of accepting rejection, they negotiate with it. They send another message. They explain themselves. They ask for another chance. They try to change their mind. But let me ask you something. Have you ever argued someone into finding you attractive? Of course not. Attraction isn't negotiated. It's experienced. And this isn't only about women. This applies to business, friendships, life. You're going to hear no's. A lot of them. The man who succeeds isn't the man who avoids rejection. It's the man who stops fearing it. Think about every successful person you admire. Do you honestly believe they weren't rejected? Business owners hear no's. Salespeople hears the most no's. Athletes lose. Actors don't get roles. Entrepreneurs fail. The difference isn't talent. The difference is interpretation. Weak men hear no and think, I'm not enough, I'm done. Strong men hear no and they think, okay, what's next? How can I improve? Now I want to challenge your thinking. Imagine you approached 100 women this year. 95 said no, but 5 became amazing relationships. Would those 95 matter? Not even slightly. Yet most men stop after one rejection, and they retire from dating. One breakup, and they retire from love. One failure, and they retire from ambition. Life doesn't work like that. Here's another belief I want you to destroy. You must destroy. Rejection isn't always about you. Sometimes she's healing. Sometimes she's not ready. Sometimes she's dating someone else. Sometimes your values don't align, and that's fine. Sometimes she simply doesn't feel chemistry. And none of those things reduce your worth or your attractiveness or your appealing. Stop making yourself the center of every outcome. Yes, you are responsible for them, but you're not the center. Here's what confident men understand. You don't need everyone to choose you. You only need the right person to choose you once. And until that happens, your job is simple. Keep becoming. Become stronger, become healthier, become wiser, become calmer, become more disciplined, because regardless of who walks into your life, those investments stay with you forever. Now, let me ask you one final question. What's actually worse? Being rejected? Or never finding out because fear kept you silent? Most men choose the second one every day, and they call it playing it safe. It's not safe. It's expensive because the price is regret. Today's challenge is simple. Do something today that risks rejection. Ask, speak, apply, invite, start. Because every rejection you survive takes away its power. And eventually, you realize rejection never made you weaker. Avoiding it did. Comment below. What's one rejection you've been avoiding because you're scared of hearing a no? I read all the comments, and I promise you, you're not the only one. Remember this, you don't become the man because life accepts you. You become the man because you keep moving when life doesn't. And if you haven't watched yesterday's video about confidence, you're missing the biggest lie men believe, that confidence comes before action. It's right here on the screen, now. Because once you stop fearing rejection, you stop waiting for confidence. Ciao for now, and please believe in yourself because I believe in you.